But first, we're gonna get to know James a little bit more. I probably know most of this, but for Dixon and the audience, we're just gonna ask him a few questions about his Viking fanatic that he is. He is from Minnesota, so I'm just gonna start. When did you become a Vikings fan?
I mean, you're kind of born a Vikings fan. Uh,
Okay, touche.
born and born and raised in Minnesota. You become just a diehard fan from day one, and just the love grows as you get older and you kind of learn the sport, learn the game.
What were some of your favorite teams growing up?
Man, specific teams. There's quite a few. There's a lot of moments, players in a sense, but for me, the big years was Moss coming in at '98, really changed the landscape. The big home run hit, Dante Culpepper, but also before that was Brad Johnson days. We had a lot of close playoff runs, but Chris Carter as a kid growing up, I used to idolize Chris Carter and the way he could catch the ball and the sideline toe taps,
And
and
big receiver because of those guys, right?
big time, yeah, absolutely.
Cool, very cool. What were some of your like you did name two like Randy Culpepper, Chris Carter. What were some of your other favorites growing up, even if they weren't on the Vikings?
Well, I'll still name Vikings players, but Robert Smith, I don't know if you fellas are familiar with that name, but running back had some great years. I used to love him. John Randall on the defensive line, he kind of, in my opinion, revolutionized face paint. If you guys remember he used to do the big Batman style face paint. It kind of became a thing where it was something new, and it's emulated a lot now in the league, as you see, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He was fierce. He was dynamic. He was obviously playing against the Reggie White days too, so he didn't get as much limelight. But John Randall's a stud.
Oh yeah. So fast forwarding to the beginning of the season, right? Right before with McCarthy getting hurt. I know me and Dixon last week we had mentioned a couple other off-season, how should we say tragedies. Going into the year, what was your mindset?
Every year, I'm super optimistic. As a Vikings fan, you always think it's your year, and then you find out it's not. But you
Touche.
know, obviously, I was a Cousins fan. The guy puts up numbers, limited mobility, but very, very optimistic, especially getting JJ in the draft. Didn't expect him to get thrown to the Wolves right away with the signing of Darnold. I expected Darnold for sure to start and see how it went and give JJ that moment. But I'll tell you what, we've had conversations before about Darnold, and you didn't expect much. I
No.
always I used to always kind of say, he was a third overall pick for a reason. Yeah, he hasn't been in his best situations, but I was pretty optimistic with his skill set going into the Vikings offense with the McConnell. I'll tell you what, though, fellas, I'm full on. Let's go. Let's go. Sammy the Savior.
Oh my God, Dixon, how are you feeling about Darnold right now?
I can't believe it. I'm in shock. I thought his career was over with. I thought, the Jets pretty much buried him into the ground.
Yeah.
Once you go through that organization, it's hard to come back. So that was super rough. But just to see him come back and thrive this way, today had another great game. Just keeps throwing touchdowns. Justin Jefferson just keeps catching them. But back to like James' story. So what, your parents are also from Minnesota?
Yeah, whole family, everybody's there. I moved to South Florida in 2005, actually. Been
Oh, okay.
19 years now. Everybody's back home. So, there's a lot of talk, a lot of love for the team.
It seems like y'all have always been able to draft like legendary receivers. I feel like it's just part of, your identity now. Do you know any like backstory to that, or that's just something that's just happened throughout time?
No, I don't think there is a story. We've always been very lucky with receivers, but we're also very, very notorious for drafting defensive end busts.
Hmm.
Okay.
I feel like every time we get somebody on the defensive side, especially on the line, they don't pan out. Receivers have always hit, but this Dallas Turner kid that we got from Alabama is an outside linebacker, edge player. He looks like he could be pretty promising.
I feel that. Yeah, no, I feel like every team has that. Every team has like a certain position that they just draft very well in, and a certain position that they don't draft well in, and they have like a bunch of busts. But you guys had Daniel Hunter. Wasn't he like an outside linebacker or?
Yeah, so Hunter definitely was he was edge and outside linebacker. I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't recall if we drafted him or not. I'd have to look that up because I don't remember that draft pick specifically, or if he just
Right.
became something special, you know?
I mean, someone on the line for the Vikings, just in my era, was always like Jared Allen. He
Oh
was
well,
always a
yeah,
monster.
Go back,
He was a
yeah.
consistent, like, Pro Bowler. So shout out to him. But yeah, I remember just being like legendary receivers going through there. Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and now JJ.
yep, no, for sure.